Hello and welcome back, or welcome to my channel. My name is Cece and I am going to be talking today about all the books I've been reading this summer, because it has not been a very crazy book summer, so I feel like I can fill you in on everything I've been reading since like June. So this is what I read this summer and what I think about it. I'm going to start with like what I read back in June, and then I'm going to get closer and closer to where I am now. I started off June with Heir. You guys, I absolutely loved this book. I'm not going to give you any spoilers, but I just love what Selena's doing in this time, and I love her training and all of that. I love the new characters. I love the new setting. I love everything about this book. I know a lot of people have different opinions. A lot of people told me this was going to get me into a slump. I got to push through it, all the things. But this was my favorite in the series. I think back on it a lot. And honestly, it got me into a slump for the next book because I just loved this book so much. And a new setting in the next book was just not what I was wanting. I was wanting this book. So I love this book. I honestly would love to reread it, but I'm not going to because I have a lot to read. But I gave this a whopping 4.5, which is pretty good, you guys. So I'm very impressed with Heir. Love it so much. I'm looking at my Goodreads to see the order I read these. Then I read The Deal, which I gave a 3-star, you guys. I know. First off, I'm not a big on open door romance. Is that what it is? Yeah. I don't love all of that. So that was not my favorite part of this book, and I feel like that was a lot of this book. Like, I found myself skipping so many chapters because of that, and I don't know. I just felt like it was a very basic romance. Like, I didn't love it, and I watched a couple episodes of the show and I didn't get into it either because it was just too much for me. And yeah, I don't know, I was very disappointed, honestly. I feel like so many people speak so highly of this series, and I get it's like a series a lot of people got into reading with a long time ago, and now it's like, it's kind of like reading Twilight. Like, people are like, why is this book so amazing, or this movie? But it's like, in the time you had to be a fan, and I just wasn't. So maybe that's my problem with it, but I just gave it a 3-star. It was fine. I'm not continuing the series, and yeah. Then I read Starside, which was a 5-star read. Honestly, I was considering putting this in a 6-star read, but I don't know. I don't think it's a 6-star quite, but it is a 5-star. I really loved this world. I thought it was very unique, and I mean, a lot of the things in it are like, you can see them in other fantasy books, but just the way Alex Esther did this book was like a perfect compilation of like so many fantasy books put into one. And so I just really loved this. This follows Eris as she is on Stormside, and every once in like, I think a decade or something, no, every 50 years the gate open to Starside, which is where magic is, where the gods are, and people from Stormside can compete essentially to go to Starside and to get magic for their family. This magic can either grant their city wealth or health or whatever they need, honestly. But Eris is going to Starside for a very different reason, and you're gonna find that out in the book. So you should definitely read this because it's very interesting. And along the way, she is with a guy named Riker, I think is his name. No, his name is Harlan Riker. And she joins him, and he's like one of the king's like soldiers, essentially. A very strong warrior, essentially, and she joins him on this quest through Starside and meeting all these magical beasts and different things, and it's very interesting. I love the amount of fantasy in this book. Like, I just feel like there's so many things that you're encountering that are so unique to this world, and also there is romance in this book, and it's very enemies to lover. Like, if you love majority enemies and barely lovers, you'll love this book. And I feel like it's pretty closed door for the most of the book. There are some scenes that have like open door, and I honestly would recommend skipping because it's very like detailed, but I did love this book overall because of the fantasy world, and I cannot wait to read Stormside, you guys. I'm so excited. Then after that, I read Saving Six, which I read that on my Kindle, so I do not have a physical copy, but that is by Chloe Walsh, which is the third book in the Boys of Tommen series. If you know, you know. This is Joey and Aoife's first book, and it is so good, you guys. I gave this book a 4.5 stars. I really loved this book. Honestly, I might even give it a 4.75, like almost 5 stars. I loved it so much, and I really fell in love with Joey and Aoife and their story. I was very hesitant going into this one because I was like, I don't really care much about them, like in Binding 13 and Keeping 13. I really loved Johnny and Shannon, so I was just like, am I gonna love this as much? And honestly, it's a very, very different couple, but I love them. It's like honestly more heartbreaking to me because of like the amount of pain Joey carries as the older brother of this family. I honestly have never really read a book where the man is like the main character, kind of. Like, I know Aoife, there's a lot in her perspective, but I feel like the story is really Joey's story, and I've never really read a romance with that. And obviously there's so many things in the story that you should check the trigger warnings for, but it is just so heart-wrenching and so good and so beautiful. I love Chloe Walsh's books, and I find myself thinking about them when I'm reading fantasy, which is very rare because I love fantasy. But yes, 4.75. Absolutely love the story. Heart-wrenching. Just keep reading. If you don't really know if you're going to be into Joey and Aoife's story after reading the first two, just read them because they're so good and you will get into it. That leads me to my next book, Queen of Shadows by Sarah J. Maas, which is the next in the Throne of Glass series. You guys, this book had me slumping. I think I was reading it for over a month. That is insane. I could not get into this. Like, I was slumping, and so many people love this one. And you guys, I think I gave it 3 stars. I really loved the ending, which I feel like is a common thing. Like, you kind of have to get through it and then it gets really good. But just because of how hard I slumped, I feel like I cannot give it any more than a 3 star. While the end really redeems it. Like, it changes like settings. I don't want to like give too much stories, but she's like back where she was in the first couple books, and while I loved that place, I feel like I moved on in Heir. Like, I started to fall in love with her new environment and the new characters, and then it's like I was going back and I was just like, I don't really care about these characters anymore. But then over time I started to care about them again, and like the new people started to mesh with the old people, and it got really good. And obviously, if you know, the end of the book is so intense and crazy, and now I'm wondering what's next. So while this book was hard for me to get into, like, it did make me want to read the tandem read immediately. But I will be making a vlog of me reading the tandem read, so stay tuned for that. That leads me to the current book I'm reading, which is Redeeming 6. I'm like 20-something% through, so I'm very much at the beginning, but I am really loving it. I feel like there's already been a lot of like resolvement. The things that had happened at the end of the first book with Joey and Aoife has been resolved, so I'm like a little bit confused on what's gonna happen. But I feel like that happened with Binding 13 and Keeping 13. I was like, there's nothing happening in Keeping 13 for the longest time, and then bam, like the most traumatic things happen. So I'm just very honestly nervous to see what happens in Redeeming 6. That is what I'm currently reading. I look forward to sharing with you guys what I'm reading next. But for now, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye, guys.